we were fortunate enough to have the show on when Jim was like Prime Bullard is what we refer to. We'll send each other messages going, look, here's a picture of Prime Bullard, and it was
Little
Jim.
hair just teasing him.
His hair.
Come back to it,
it was,
Can't have too long, not mullety.
it wasn't too long. It just had a little bit of if you pushed it back behind his ears, it just had that little bit of kick up, little bit of gel.
That's my comfort blanket.
That was Prime Bullard. But this was a time when players were starting to do interviews for Club TV and things like that, and these interviews started to surface of Jim trying to do the interview and outtakes, and he just started doing all these things, and he became like a cult figure on Soccer AM. So when I went back to Soccer AM, and we were looking for some new features, I immediately thought of Jim to get him involved, because everything here, because I was looking for, without knowing it, because it didn't exist at the time, I was looking for a Barclays man. We were looking for a Barclays man to be that person who can deliver the goods from a footballing point of view, from a televisual point of view, understands it, but also has got the personality, connects with the players. Immediately, you have that warm connection with the players, and he's well known. And obviously, he'd done The Jungle as well, which made him not only football famous, but it made him a household name. So it was that was like the first part. We got him doing the drills, and then my kind of goal was to have a footballer on the show on every Saturday morning doing it, because it was always hard to get players on. So it was, if you've got a footballer on every week, again, who ticks all those boxes, then you're onto a winner, and we were, and that was so. We needed a Barclays man, as I say, and we got one.
Because I've got it written down here, like the ripple effect of Soccer AM. Without, and I don't know if it was Third Eyes, you can tell me what it might be. So for anyone who's listening from abroad who doesn't know about Soccer AM was a show that was just huge. Every Saturday morning, you had to be watching it.
Football religion, wasn't it?
It was, man. It was. And I didn't have Sky, but my mate had Sky, and he'd shown me this a couple of times. And then we got Sky, and it was just huge. But what was huge was that you'd have it on, and I've got two sisters. They'd sit down and watch it, go, because there'll be Third Eyes or Save Chip or all these little sort of sketches. Essentially, I'm trying to kind of Americanize it a little bit here. It's kind of like a Saturday Night Live for football within on a Saturday morning, and it was just it was a cultural icon in terms of sort of television real estate. And when I was thinking of in terms of like your journey and sort of the legendary status that you have. Like, we don't see your essence. I know this is a bit much, but we don't see your essence. We don't have, for me personally, I think, it's the sort of Third Eyes to find the you jumping over the players, or you looking at Duncan Ferguson, or you and it being aligned with Sky Sports as well. You being doing the green screen thing as well. I think something that's very tiny but very, very important. When I would watch the Third Eyes, what made a Third Eye was Helen's laugh.
Yeah.
Helen's laugh. And if you ever watch the green screen one of you, so there's a go and find it, search Jimmy Bullard, and you'll see him in his whole kit with his shirt up, trying to sort of do the sort of spin round for the lineups. Helen's laugh is huge. And that we knew about you as a player. And I do want to talk about you as a player, because I think that's really important, because that can sometimes get lost, I think. And I'd imagine that could sometimes maybe there can be a moment of frustration with that when people can focus on the funny instead of like the talent there.
Not at all with me.
No, that's interesting.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, but like if you don't have that show, I think because it's before, now these kind of things, it'd be a 3-part series. Like these little moments. Do you know what I mean? Because everything is content now.
The difference as well was then this is pre-internet. So when I first started at Soccer AM, the internet didn't exist, which is quite mad, isn't it? Like there was no email, so we were faxing. If you wanted a guest on, you had to fax the club, so all those things that you would see on a Saturday morning, you weren't seeing them anywhere else really. So it was kind of like it was a appointment to view television. So everyone saw those things, and then they would go off to the games and they'd go, "Oh, did you see that clip of Jimmy doing that? Or did you see
sort of curated it, didn't
Tractor Boy, or did you see, like whatever it was?" And so we were like kind of exactly, like we were the curators of that. obviously it's a different world now.
But also, I don't think we have Barclaysman without Soccer AM, because you don't have Showboat.
No.
Like, you don't have Goals of the Week.
You're showing a huge part on Soccer Am, aren't you? There ain't no other show from back then that would
And also,
show
the
like...
timing of it is really important here, because it's Saturday morning
Yeah.
and then you go to the game. You then talk to people about football, so it's a starting point for you to go and talk.
Just tell you a quick story, and this is 100% true story. So Tim Lovejoy was the producer, the brains behind Soccer AM. Soccer AM existed as a programme before, but when Tim came with Andy Harris, they came from the Big Breakfast, and they had they had all that knowledge of making an entertainment show, but they turned it into a football entertainment show.
And using the crew, right? With Big
Using the
Breakfast,
crew,
that's a big
but that didn't happen right at the start. That kind of happened as we went along, because we were a really small team, about five people to start with, maybe six, and then we would talk about these ideas. We had a lot of time to fill. It was a 4-hour show. We had a lot of airtime to fill. But I remember standing in the corridor, because people used to smoke in those days. I didn't smoke, but Tim was having a fag, and he used to go having a cigarette in the corridor, and he pulled me and he went, do you know like about the term showboating? And I was like, sort of. And he says, it's a real American term. Use it in sport, in baseball and basketball, and
That's true. I didn't know about that phrase before. I can't think of another reference.
And he said we should do an item on Soccer M. We should call it Showboat. So we need to go through and find skills. Now, bear in mind, everything then was on tape. Everything's on tape, and all the games aren't logged. So, trust me,
Wow.
to find skills back in those days, because it wasn't, because A, it was hard to find. B, the reason it was hard to find because no one was doing it. No one was trying anything. So, when we first started doing it, there used to be the Andy Harris used to go, "It's time to what did you say? It's time to climb aboard Showboat as we take you on." Oh God, I can't remember it. But it was this kind of like hammy American voiceover, and it was like a boat, and there was three, and I used to write the script for it. There was
three showboats,
3 pieces of skill.
That's so bad.
That was it. 3.
5 replays,
and then it'd have the voiceover, and then it'd show you the clip, and they were back heels. They were back heel, and then someone would do something that was like
drag back.
What something? Yeah, I mean, honestly, and then Joe Cole arrived on the scene in that Youth Cup game. Starts doing Rabonas from wherever, and we're going, have you seen it? Have you seen that? And then players like Lee Trundle came along. Well, that's why Lee Trundle always be a Soccer M superstar, because he was doing these things in game,
weekly
and then
as well,
then texting me after the game, going, "All right, Fenners lad, I did."
No!
Yeah.
So he'd say, in the what? He'd give you the minute, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So I messaged Lee Trundle.
I do the same.
I messaged Lee Trundle and I said, "Lee, look, do us a favour." See how mad's this? When you do something on the pitch, can you just have try and remember, even in 15-minute chunks where it was, because I've got to go through the tapes, and it'll really help me out. So he'd say, "I've done a bit of skill, Fenners lad," and it was at 47 minutes, because he'd look up at the clock and he'd remember it, and then he'd send me a message at about 10 to 5 on a Saturday. I'd get this text off Lee with about 4 or 5 things, and I was like, yeah, it's brilliant. So but getting back to that was the origin of Showboat, and that was down to so people now use that as a term all the time, showboat and showboating, and it was not a term in football at all until Tim came up with that idea in that corridor.
That's amazing.
And then you get order points.
Yeah, of course, Trundle. Yeah,
I love it. Edtron's used to text you. That's just not worry about the score, and I think just get me on there.
But I think that's when you're sort of when you're in media and there's people, these celebrities or whatever that you meet. You kind of I noticed that quite quickly, that you kind of okay, they might be known for that, but right underneath it is just the bloke Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like Lee
absolutely.
Trundle there, you go, this guy walking around Swansea's a god. But like just to the side, he's texting Fenners.
He's just a normal dude, isn't he?
course, yeah.
Doing
But
his
people don't
shit.
think that. People don't think that.
Yeah.
They don't.
But he wanted to be on the show.